Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake of
technology increased, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and we're so happy and thankful that you're joining us here, and hopefully you're joining us every week as we go live on LinkedIn, 1 p.m. Eastern Time every Wednesday. Bookmark it on your calendar so you don't miss a single episode. We've got so many great episodes coming up. I mean, my buddy Steve is the Master Connector. I mean, this guy reaches out and is talking with new people all the time, and he's bringing them your way in the form of this live. So look, if you can't make every single week, which, it'd be great if you did, but you're busy, man. We know we're helping you, hopefully bringing you great people who can help you level up so you can succeed faster, succeed better, succeed bigger. But if you can't make us every week, go to masterconnector.show and you can see the roster of people who are coming up throughout this entire year. You probably get to see about the next 6 weeks, maybe 15 weeks into the future to see who we have booked. And if there's somebody there that you need to hear from, bookmark your calendar. It's always a Wednesday. It's always 1 p.m. Eastern. And make sure you tune in live, because live is where it's at. Live is where you can ask questions, because look, if this were just a show you could watch that wasn't live, you would just take it in and that would be it. And whatever you got from it, you got from it. But if you come live and there's something you don't understand, there's a gap in your knowledge that you need filled, you can ask that question in the comments, get it answered, and you will be that much closer to the success you're looking for. That's the idea I was taught years ago. Never leave an event with a question unanswered. And so go to masterconnector.show. Also, if you think you might want to be a guest on the show, or if you want to sponsor the show, we'd love to have you go there and check that out. See if that's one of those options is great for you. But look, Steve and I, we go back, man, I think it's like 28 years now, which, seems like an entire lifetime. Sometimes, hey, the guy we got on the show today, I don't even think he's 28, but he's a powerhouse. You're going to love him. But we go back that far as friends and came together through business and then through networking and now through the show that Steve started. And it is Steve's show because although we are connectors, all of us, he is the Master Connector. Let's bring him on, Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Rob. So you and I, the true story is you and I met in the delivery room, right? Because we met right when we both were born, right? Because we're only 28, right?
Yeah, right. 23 sure. Forever, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm blessed and honored to have you as a friend and co-host here on the show. It's been amazing. So just appreciate you in a major way. Anyway, what's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. So let me ask you this question. Have you ever thought you had a big idea and the world needs to hear about it? Have you been thinking about a TED Talk and you've been like, well, I don't know, is my idea worthy? How do I go about it? It seems like a lot of work. It's overwhelming, or maybe you're like me. My speaking is great. I have a friend of mine in my network. She's amazing. And she has a speaking coaching program, and nothing wrong with it. And when I asked her how she became a speaker, she said, well, I wrote a book, and the book actually somehow got me on I think it was the Good Morning America show or something. And somebody saw her, and then all of a sudden her speaking career, took off. And I said, is that kind of part of your speaking career? Your speaking coaching, program? Well, not really. Okay. I didn't work with her. Okay. But not to say a program isn't great, but the point I'm making is I believe often we need something, a catalyst, something that's going to propel our career, in my case, speaking career, something. And I believe TED was a big one for me. I needed that big break. And I think we're going to dispel the myth today on the simplicity of, number one, how to land, and then secondarily, how to leverage your TEDx talk. It's not that hard. And I was very blessed because Ryan made this super, super easy for me, to be honest with you. Because some of it is, number one, coming up with what are you going to talk about? Is it marketable to the TED community? Some other things are, is it worthy? Okay. And then the second part of the challenge was the applications. I mean, to me, that was overwhelming to me, going through all that. And there's so many, but where do you find them and all that? So we're going to get all that clarified for you. So make sure, as Rob said, get in the comments, make sure you're connecting with each other. And we'd love to hear from you. This is the Master Connector Show. We are connectors. We are LinkedIn participants, not LinkedIn lurkers. So if you're in the show and you're watching, get in the comments, because we don't know you're here with us unless you're in the comments. LinkedIn, eventually, maybe they'll hear my voice finally say this, but unless you're in the comments, we don't know. So, there are other platforms, they know everybody is participating, but we don't know. So, but I'm excited. I am, fortunately, very close to my talk getting put out to the public. It's I think about 3 or 4 weeks away from when that happens. I have seen the video of when I was performing it live, and I just approved it. Now it's got to get full production, and then it goes to TED for its approval. But very blessed, and you, my amazing community, will know for sure when it's out. We're going to promote the heck out of it. But anyway, I am just excited for this show. So if you're ready for me to introduce my amazing, we'll have my amazing co-host introduce our guest. Type in the comments. Let's go. And Robbie G, I'll pass it to you, bud.
All right, thanks. Let's go, everybody. Ryan Brady is the founder of Scaled Leverage, where he helps coaches, consultants, founders, and first-time speakers get their ideas into TEDx stages around the world. After surviving a life-altering car accident at 17 that left him with a traumatic brain injury, Ryan went on to deliver 2 TEDx talks by the age of 22, reaching tens of thousands of people. He built Scaled Leverage to ensure powerful ideas don't die in someone's head. With a proven, systemized approach to TEDx curation and applications, Ryan has helped 30-plus speakers land TEDx talks in 2025 alone, turning ideas into platforms and platforms into lasting impact. Please welcome to the show, Ryan Brady. What's up, Ryan?
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited that, we're here because of you, Steve, right? And then your TEDx booking came in the perfect timing before this podcast appearance here.
Unbelievable. It's amazing, right? Again, they say God's timing, right? It's incredible, but just blessed to have you in my life. And you made the whole process just so simple and easy. And, I was talking about a lot of times you hear the word, I'm hearing a lot, friction. So when there's friction, things become tougher and people don't want to do things, or they have a tough time, and often they start and then they stop. But you made it frictionless, I got to say. So before we get into the questions, just want to shout out my amazing sis. I call her Izzy Wisey. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that publicly, Eyes, but that's you. And great to have you, Kristen O, on with us as well. So, but let's dig into it. Ready? I know that in my kind of opening, I talked a little bit about your worthiness and does your story worthy. So and your big idea. So let community type in hashtag idea, or as my Italian friends say, idea, and put in the comments idea. And what makes an idea or idea TEDx worthy versus just a good story?
Yeah, great question. So the story doesn't come first. It's always the idea first, and the idea we're spreading. What makes a TEDx idea we're spreading different than any other idea out there? You want to pick a narrative or a set of beliefs that 80 to 90% of people currently have, and you want to be contrarian to that set of beliefs, saying what's wrong with it and or how could it be done better. And the more contrarian you can get, obviously to a certain extent, the better. Like my first TEDx talk was how traumatic brain injuries could reveal more than they remove. The narrative was, if I say, hey, Steve, do you want a brain injury? The majority of people will say, no, thanks, I'll pass. Whereas the idea was, you might not want one, but here's how if you unfortunately do find yourself with one, you can make it one of the best things that ever ended up happening to you. So that's kind of the equation to qualify the TEDx idea worthiness of it. Then it can't have been spoken on already. If it's been given already, it's already been spread. It's no longer an idea worth spreading in TEDx organizers' eyes. And you can figure out if it's been spoken on already just by going on the TEDx YouTube channel.
Love that. That's great. Yeah. And it's interesting because when I came to you, I think the first idea I had was, in our weakness, there's strength or there's power. And one of the things you said to me was, it's a good topic, but probably not strong enough for the tech community because it's sort of like a little vanilla. And so, obviously how you kind of position and market that, the core idea, I want to believe in a lot of ways is the same, but it's kind of how it was marketed or how it was worded, which was important based upon what I learned from you. By the way, my sister says keep it up. I guess she doesn't mind Izzy Wisey. All right, cool. Anyway, let's go. So let's go. Oh, here comes Mr. Russ Hedge in the house, or Russ Hess, if you want that. But Russ is an amazing sponsor of our some of our episodes, and we just appreciate you, Russ, in a major way. So yeah, let's keep this rolling. Okay, so I want to talk about process. I've learned in success, in anything you do, there's got to be a process. You need to follow that process. So here's the question in community, type in #process, please. And you guys are great students because everyone's in the comments and I appreciate you. And I know there's a few that are still watching the show. You're lurkers. Get in the comments. Anyway, let's talk about it. So where do most people go wrong when they try to land a TEDx talk?
Oh, great question. So I can speak from my own experience. I thought you needed to have your entire TEDx talk written, and then you would send that to your local hometown organizer. And I took 1.5 years writing a script, paid a script writer to write that with me. Finally, when I thought it was ready, I sent it to my hometown TEDx organizer. I got a big fat rejection. Great idea, but this is not TEDx worthy. I just kind of gave up. And about 6 months after kind of sitting in that rejection, I interviewed 7 TEDx speakers. One of them had given 3 TEDx talks. And that kind of gave me the golden nugget of what I was missing. And he asked me, "Hey, Ryan, how many do you think I applied to land these 3?" I said, "Well, 3, obviously. That's just how TED Talks work." And he laughed and grinned at me. And he said, "No, I actually applied to 300 to land these 3. I said, "Oh, so this is a numbers game. Interesting. I had no idea." He said, "Exactly." So that's where a lot of people will go wrong, is they don't see it as a numbers game, and they'll apply to one, get rejected, and give up, just like I did. But the more you apply, the more likelihood you have of being selected. And another thing that Matt was the TEDx speaker on that call that I mentioned, that he told me the 3 that he was selected to. He also gave me another nugget, which is a lot of times when they reject you, it's not because of you or your idea. It's just that specific idea relevant to the kind of people it's relevant to at that specific time for that specific TEDx event wasn't what they were looking for. Maybe if you applied the following year, it would be perfect, but that year it would be a no-go. So sometimes it's not even about you.
And I was coming in from another angle when we first met, and I love the way you handled it, because I was like, I had talked to also a lot of TEDx speakers, and the interesting thing, and it may have been the batch of people that I had talked to, but they were, a lot of them, I guess a majority of them, told me that they were minding their own business, living their life. They got tapped on the shoulder, and then all of a sudden they were asked to be on a TED stage. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I could do that. I could mind my own business. And 2.5 years later, I'm still waiting for that tap. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe that's not going to happen to me. And I don't know, maybe I just don't, maybe it's the bald head. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I say idea instead of idea. I don't know what, but it wasn't happening. And you told me that exactly what you said, which is, listen, it's a process. And number one, you need it's a numbers game. And then that part kind of intimidated me, because I'm like, I've got so much going on. I don't have the bandwidth to do the numbers thing. And he's like, okay, well, I'll make that life easy for you. I'll make it easy for you for sure. So I appreciate you big time.
Follow up to that, because when you said that, Ryan, I was kind of floored that it was a numbers game. I thought it was I definitely knew it's the idea game. Like, that's the whole concept. That's its whole brand, is the spreading of ideas. But then timeliness, I know, is a factor in everything. Timing is always a factor in everything. But the fact that you could apply and not get chosen one year, but get chosen the next year, are you saying that you have to keep reapplying to the same places, or do they keep your number in a file there and they choose you again?
Great question. Depends on the TEDx events. Some will have kind of a rolling application sequence, and they'll just keep a database of all the applications there. Others, compare you to the speakers that they're looking at that specific year that you apply. And it is just that data set. Normally there's the most I've seen a TEDx event have, based on the kind of feedback emails that we get, is like 500 applications. So you're kind of competing with a lot of people, but that's the maximum amount of people I've seen, being in the selection process. Steve, do you know how many applications that we submitted for you?
I would love you to tell me. I bet you know.
I do. Rob, you want to take a guess? Place your bets? And I'll do the reveal, and I have it right here.
I'm just going to go with 300 because that seems to be a number.
Okay. All right. If this is all right, let me share screen, and I'll show you the exact ones that we even submitted. It'll take 10 seconds here.
All right, here we go.
So we have your application here, Steve. Are you ready for the grand reveal?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Is it showing up?
He's about to hit 100. Oh. Oh boy.
212.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Not quite 300. Does that mean I'm special?
It means you didn't give up. We didn't stop. That's the only thing.
Exactly. Yep. It's pure numbers.
212.
Sure.
Okay, so there's no magic number, but clearly you got to submit to a lot because I think the key takeaway, and the Steve will move on, is that it's not necessarily you. ... Right? That's the good news. So, if you get rejected, rejection feels pretty hard. And I'm sure, especially with your story, Ryan, being rejected, I assume it was for your idea about brain injury, right? That got rejected?
No, it was, so it was close. It was, so I was like 19 at the time. And my idea was you learn more from life experience than school. Like a really generic idea that if it was me today, there's no way I would submit that application for a client. I would waste our time, right? But at the time I thought this is an amazing idea. Nobody knows about it. So it was, the story was the same, but the idea and the way I packaged it wasn't TEDx worthy.
Right.
Yeah. I remember, and we'll see if the title of the particular talk that comes out, because again, TED has the opportunity to modify it if they want to. I learned, but it's the client advantage, how introverts can out-connect the rest. And I think there was an edgy component to it, which was like, what, and I think same thing with your brain injury, right? Why you want, that was the title of yours again? The brain injury?
How traumatic brain injuries could reveal more than they remove. And that's what we did with your thing, was that framework of the narrative is you need to be an extrovert to connect more than an introvert. That's what everyone would think, right? But your idea was contrary to that set of beliefs.
Flip the switch. Yeah, exactly. By the way, before we get too deep here, I want to just welcome Philip Curran, friend of obviously Kim's better half or other half, I guess. So welcome to the show. I don't know if the first time. Yolanda's with us. Of course, the show is not the same without Yolanda. She took a crack at the number. Pretty close. You were closer than Rob, Yolanda. You said 150, so that's pretty good. And also want to acknowledge Kim is in the house here as well, and just appreciate you all. So let's keep the ball rolling here. I know that a lot of it is not just getting on stage, but now how do you leverage what you're able to do once you get on stage? So let's talk about that. So community, type in #leverage. So once the talk is live, what separates speakers who capitalize on it from those that don't?
So I think it actually starts before the talk is live. It starts the moment you decide your idea. About 2 years ago, my business partner, he asked me, Ryan, what kind of ROI or return do TEDx speakers see before and after giving a TEDx talk? How is their life different? And I told him, well, for me, it was a 43% increase in my LinkedIn email open rate. And he kind of laughed and said, that's cool, but that's just an anecdote. We need data. I said, okay, touche. And we interviewed 30 TEDx speakers. And what we found was actually pretty interesting. 8 out of 10 saw no change, no difference before and after giving a TEDx talk. Their life was identical. 2 out of 10 did. We wanted to figure out what's the difference between these two groups of people, what patterns are in one that aren't in the other. The 8 out of 10 that didn't get the return, it was because they almost expected it to just be like a magic button, make them an automatic Brene Brown, automatic Simon Sinek, wealthy, famous, 6-figure speaking fee, the whole 9 yards, right? Whereas the 2 out of 10 that actually did get the return It was because they were specific, strategic, and intentional with the exact return they were looking for the moment they decided they wanted to give a TEDx talk. And based on where they wanted the TEDx talk to take them, they would use a certain idea that they would speak on that would be the highest likelihood to bring them to that place they wanted to go because of it. So there's kind of strategy with it that comes before your TED talk is ever even uploaded in the first place from the very beginning.
Love that. That's great. Yeah. And it's interesting. I don't know if it has to do with the Pareto principle, but you just gave the 20-80 rule, right? Which is how, and that's just everything, right? Where 20% of the world's wealth, 80% of the world's wealth is by 20% of the people, right? And things of that nature. So it's interesting. So from what you've seen so far, Ryan, am I doing okay with regards to how I'm leveraging my TED? What do you think?
I would say you're definitely, the only suggestion I would make is you have Steve Spiro, Master Connector Speaker. Add a little TEDx before speaker in your the bottom part of you see your name. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But besides that,
okay.
I think you're in the right direction.
Okay. Yeah, I have it on the top in my image, but I hear you. I don't know if we have the space there, but I'll see if we can fit.
All right.
Oh, there it is. Rob did it.
There.
All right. That's it.
We didn't move fast here, Ryan.
Yeah.
All right. You earned your keep for the week. All right, Ryan. Okay. Good stuff. Well, appreciate you. All right. So let's talk some more. Let's talk about, one of the things that I was excited about, and I think why I like to post and why I wanted to do the show and why TED, I think for me was important, is it gave me authority. It made me more of a thought leader. So let's talk about authority. So community, type in #authority. So how does TEDx talks, how does a TEDx talk accelerate someone's positioning as that thought leader?
Yeah. I think the coolest thing about it is they've been building a brand for almost 30 years now. I think it's like 25 years. I think they started in the early 2000s. All of that work that TED has done and TEDx has done, you get to benefit from that brand authority. I think it's such an easy way to send someone a video that says, hey, why should I know you, like you, and trust you? And you send them your TED talk. It's instant. They see you as credible. They see you as an authority. They know you. They like you, depending on how vulnerable you get on the TEDx stage, which I'd recommend the more vulnerable you get, which I know from the stories you used in your TED talk, Steve, it's very vulnerable and cool stories that will get people to have that know, like, and trust factor for you when they see that. But I think it's because of all the brand work that they have done so many years to get to this point where they are at now. I was talking to a client of mine that he's speaking at TEDx Naples. He's already like a $25,000 speaking fee speaker. His name's Anthony Trucks. And I asked him, for you, why do you want to give a TEDx talk? And he said, for me, it's that branding to get me from the 25K range to the 50K range, because the brand authority that TEDx has and the network and distribution it has for people all over the world, that's what can push me into that range. I don't know if that kind of answers your question, Steve.
No, it does. And the other question is sort of two parts to the question, and Rob always digs deep here, so maybe he's got one too. But my question would be, now, I hear a lot about views, and talk about views and the importance of that, and does that happen organically? Can it happen? And talk about views a little bit, because I think that also leads to that authority as well.
Yeah, great question. So a TEDx talk on average, how many views do you think on average a TEDx talk gets?
I'm going to say a couple thousand, the average one.
Close. 500.
Wow.
500 views.
Wow.
And a lot of our clients and people we get booked, they want that authority and that credibility from having given a TEDx talk. But having a TEDx talk, let's say you're talking to an event organizer and you say, hey, say it's you, Steve, and you say, hey, my fee is $15,000. And they say, okay, cool. But they see you did a TEDx talk with 200 views. And they think, you're saying you're going to bring $15,000 of value to my audience, but here you obviously didn't, because nobody really cared. Why would you hear if you didn't hear? So the views is to get it so that thing, that kind of interaction doesn't happen for you as a professional speaker. The best way to get views that I've seen so far is the targeting in your YouTube title. So for mine, it was how traumatic brain injuries could reveal more than they remove. It targets people that have brain injuries. in your case, targets introverts, right? In one of our clients, he had actually a lot of organic views. His name's Quentin Mezitin, and his title was How to Support Parents of Children with Autism. Every parent that has a child with autism is going to click that TED Talk because it's directed exactly to them. So I'd say that's like the best way to make sure you get the views as targeted as you can get is you use that real estate in your TEDx YouTube title to do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, what we're talking about here, and for the audience, here's what I've come to learn. The universal truth about building anything is you have to know how to market it to some extent or hire somebody that knows how to market it. Because what Ryan is saying is you can give a TEDx talk. It doesn't mean, like he said, you're going to be the next Brene Brown. And if you know her story, right, she was hacking away at her career, doing what she was doing, research, everything. And that one talk that launched her into this worldwide stardom. But the marketing part of it for the rest of us, now, I'm not saying she wasn't marketing before. I don't know the full story. But for the rest of us, if you get a TEDx talk, we have to market that. Look, I wrote a book. I'm not making millions off this book yet. And I probably ventured to guess Steve is not making millions off of his book yet. But, you got to market that book. And I think that's kind of what you're saying here very similarly, Ryan, is when you produce something that has value, and even if you get that brand authority, which, I was all about when you were talking about the TEDx brand authority, it doesn't necessarily mean you're automatically launched into stardom. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just say this. And so community, and I haven't asked Ryan this. Well, maybe we talked about it, I don't remember, but I'm thinking about doing a launch party, Ryan, where I'm going to actually promote it and hopefully have everyone, go on YouTube while on the party and go share it and like it and comment and watch it even while it's playing. So that's going to be another way that I'm hoping to kind of increase views. But so stay tuned, community. But anyway, I want to just to me, everything in this world is about impact, right? And so I want to talk about impact as we close down. And again, if you want to finish up what you have to say and what's the best way for people to reach you. But community, type in hashtag impact. What's possible when somebody finally gives themselves permission to share their idea?
I would say the biggest transformation is personal and the identity that you step into once you give a TEDx talk, especially if it's something vulnerable like you shared and like I shared, because it's like your most intimate, vulnerable story that you've held private your entire life is now public. Everybody knows it. It's there. And stepping into that with a kind of perspective of authority, it's almost like you're authentically accepting yourself for every part of yourself and showing that to the world. And the identity that you step into when everybody knows your deepest, darkest secrets or things that maybe you held close to your chest your whole life, changes how you see yourself. And I noticed for me that was huge. And that was, I think, the main change that I noticed is the person I became because of it, and seeing people that I would have been selfish if I stepped off stage and didn't give that TED talk. For you, it's the introverts. For me, it was the people with TBIs, right?
Sure. Yeah, I love that. Appreciate that. And what's the best way for our amazing community to reach you, and any call to action you have?
Yeah, sure. Probably the best way to reach me is just send me a DM on LinkedIn, a connection request. It's Ryan Brady. And then just DM me like Master Connector TED. So I know if you send that DM and that connection request, I know you are coming from here.
Awesome. And looks like Rob put in the comments your LinkedIn. So definitely connect with Ryan. He's worthy of a conversation with, for sure, 100%. So Ryan, we really appreciate you. Thank you for all that you've done for us here, for me personally, and I know you're blessing the world with what you do. So thank you again. So I'm gonna have you go into the green room, but as we wrap up the show. But thank you again. Appreciate you big time. All right, Ryan.
Cheers.
Cheers. Awesome. Good stuff. Well, hey, if you like that, check out next week, episode 249 on the 25th of February. Same bat time, same bat channel. Your best connection is you, with Maurice Thibodeau. I'm hoping I'm butchering it, I'm sure, but you'll give me grace. And if you want to learn more about not just next week's episode, but future ones, go to masterconnector.show, and you could also learn about some of the some of how you could be a guest on the show. And if you'd like to, like Russ Hedge, be a sponsor of the show, you can go there as well, masterconnector.show. Obviously Rob talked about it. He's got a book. It's called Don't Fear the Brand, The Art of Building a Strong Brand That Attracts. He reveals how he overcame paralyzing fear, I can relate, to building a strong brand that 4x'd his revenue. Get the inside story and the exact strategy by clicking the link in the comments now below. So go ahead and do that. Rob is amazing. I personally read the book. It's incredible. So I want to finish up with a story. Derek Sivers, S-I-V-E-R-S, stepped onto the TEDx stage as an entrepreneur, not a speaker, and shared a simple idea about leadership that went on to reach millions worldwide. That single talk transformed how people viewed him, turned a personal insight into a global movement because he had the courage to share what he believed mattered. Let's Derek's story remind us that when you speak up with intention, we don't just find our voice, we become a beacon of light. Hey, folks, it's time to shine our light. God bless. See you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges. And yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives